Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Nutmeg Lit Fest podcast. Every book has a story behind it, and every author has a moment when they decide to tell it. Once again, welcome to the Nutmeg Lit Fest podcast where stories speak. I'm your host, Janaya Hernandez, and this is a space where we spotlight authors, celebrate books, and explore the journey behind the words that move us. Today, I'm excited to welcome Sharon, author of the gripping contemporary thriller, The Shutdown List. Oh, I love the title. We will get into it, Sharon. A fast-paced story of conspiracy, danger, and a courageous woman pushed into the center of the world she never expected to confront. I mean, this is going to be interesting. I cannot wait. Welcome, Sharon. Please introduce yourself.
Uh, Thank you. Thank you, Janaya. Yeah, I'm Sharon Dukett, and I'm very happy that you've invited me today to come and talk about my book, The Shutdown List. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yes, yes. Tell us a little bit about the book. Like, give us a little synopsis.
Okay, well, I mean, the pitch I use when I talk to people and I just want to give them a little brief overview is I tell them that the book is about Anita, whose husband has disappeared after leading climate activists in a protest.
Whoa.
She is warned she's also in danger, so she ditches all her electronic ties and she goes on a perilous search for him, unaware that he has kept a crucial secret from her.
I need to know, Sharon, where did this idea come from? I need more. I need more.
Okay, well, it started when I have a memoir, and while I was waiting for that memoir to be published, I wanted to start another book and I wanted to write fiction. I wasn't sure what. So I took a workshop where it was an online workshop, and each day we were getting a writing prompt and writing 1,000 words about it, about something. And she was really good with the instructor was really great with writing prompts, and she
Mhm.
would read a little poetry. She had a photograph and all this kind of thing. So the one I had one day was she showed a photo of um, of somebody in Moscow
Mhm.
holding up a Tilda Swinton holding up a rainbow flag in front of the Kremlin. And there was a police car behind her. This was all in the photograph. And the story behind the photograph was that Putin had just signed a law a couple weeks earlier saying that no one could publicly discuss LGBTQ content.
Oh, wow.
And you could go to jail for this. And so, in defiance, she stood there with this rainbow flag, and they were watching her and had, international photos taken because she is a star, a movie star.
Uh-huh.
And um, and she risked her freedom for that. Anything could have happened to her. So the prompt that was given to us was, what would you risk your freedom for?
Oof.
So so I began to write, and I wrote about this scene that took place in a similar situation. So I had my characters in Washington, D.C.
Mhm.
Um, in a demonstration around the Capitol in Washington, D.C. Now, mind you, I was writing this in 2019, in the fall of 2019 when I began this. So just to
Mhm.
put that in perspective. And um, what I visualized was these people like running onto the steps of the Capitol because you're not legally allowed to just walk up the steps of the Capitol. They have
Mhm.
barricades, and you can't do that. So so these people dashing up the steps of the Capitol and holding up a flag of an Earth Day flag with the big giant blue marble picture of Earth that was
Okay.
taken during some of the early space travels into, the moon and all that. They took those pictures and they sent them back, and they were very they showed the Earth as a whole,
Mhm.
as one place, and it's, our planet. And so, um, So that was kind of a rallying cry to people. And at the time of this happening, there's also Congress meeting to discuss modifying some laws in Washington about clean air. So not in a good way. And so people are there protesting. So
Okay.
that's how the book begins. That's what I wrote about. And once I got started on that topic, I just kept going and imagined from there, okay, what would happen? So the point of view of my protagonist is she is the wife of a man
Mm-hmm.
who runs up the steps with this flag, not expecting this to happen. She hasn't been told. And the reason she hasn't been told is because they don't speak anymore. Their marriage is on the rocks. They're in trouble. Their son, their adult son, had died in a wildfire 2 years
Wow.
earlier. And since then, their marriage has collapsed. So, so they don't really talk, but they went to this demonstration together. But he got off early, and this is all in chapter one, so I'm not really
This
giving
is
too much away
all in
here.
chapter. There's a lot to impact already in chapter one.
Yeah,
I can appreciate it.
yeah,
I do have a question for you, right? So
yeah.
without giving away all the books, because I adore you listeners, but I do want you to do some reading. I do want you to go out there and read it or audio, because you are on audio, correct? Is your book on
Yes,
audio?
yes, I
Yes,
have
yes,
audiobooks
yes.
as well.
So Anita's also a woman over 50, which we often don't see centered in thrillers, right? And
Right.
I want to know, why was it important for you to tell that kind of story with this kind of heroine, I should say?
Yes. Well, first of all, um, I'm a woman over 50 and then some. But it seemed to me that every time I read a book or saw something on TV, there was
Mhm.
always this young woman, young single woman, beautiful, who is doing all these amazing things, and
Mhm.
she's in trouble or whatever's going on, and she's solving the problems. But you hardly ever see an older woman. And
Yes.
I'm thinking to myself, well, an older woman has a lot of experience in life. She's dealt with so many things. She has so much more knowledge than somebody who's in their 20s or even their early 30s because she's had to deal with a lot of things over her life.
Yes.
And yeah, we tend to, and I think this comes a lot from Hollywood. We tend
Of
to,
course.
yeah, we tend to sweep women under the carpet as they begin to age. We don't want to know about them anymore. We don't want to see them. We want to, they don't look as good on the screen, what have you. So they just kind of fade away,
Hmm.
and their stories aren't become insignificant. But I didn't want this woman to be like Superwoman. I wanted her to be a normal woman,
Yes.
like somebody that anyone could relate to because she's just a person that things happen to. And then she had to deal with them. So so how does she deal with them based on her knowledge and experience and what she's been through in her life? She is a successful businesswoman at that stage in her life. So, she's got some knowledge and she's been around the block a
That's
little
a
bit in
fact.
that respect.
Got a little spunk
So,
to her, right?
yeah, yeah. So, she's not starting with nothing, but she's also, you know, she's thrust into something that she's never had to deal with before.
Mhm.
So, and now she has to cope with that.
What's your advice? What would Sharon or Anita, right? What would they
Yeah.
say to someone, looking to get into writing? I've heard a lot of workshops. Um, like, how did you get over that fear, and what made you start outside of, the workshop that you did, getting into writing, like taking a chance?
Yeah. Well, I started writing when I was very, very young. But I definitely went through phases in my life where I put it aside and didn't write at all. Um, but even when I was in high school, I imagined that I would be a writer someday, like,
Really?
I'd publish books and that kind of thing. I actually had an experience when I was in sixth grade. Our sixth grade teacher asked us um, to write about a goal in life.
Hmm.
And my goal in life was that I wanted to publish a book. And after he got all these little essays back and stuff, he came over to my desk and he squatted down beside my desk and he said, I've never had a student who wanted to write a book before.
Oh, wow. Oh,
And she said, I mean, you'd probably find more of that now because people
yes,
hear
very
about those
popular.
things.
Very
But
popular.
we're going back a ways, and it just wasn't something anybody thought about. I mean, mostly because, books were written by people you would never meet.
Yeah,
You had
famous
these
people.
books, but yeah. So he said, he thought that was highly unusual. And so yeah, it was interesting. Um, he's still around, and actually, another teacher I had in seventh grade who actually helped me sort of get going with writing and stuff. He allowed me to be very creative. Got one of my poem. I was writing a lot of poetry then. Got one of my poems published in our local newspaper, the Hartford Courant,
Oh, wow.
and so that was all very exciting. And I managed to get in touch with him after my memoir was published. And apparently, these teachers all met for lunch every now and then and talked about me. So that was really kind of funny when I heard that.
What does today Sharon have advice for Sharon back then, before Sharon back then knew that today Sharon would be a published author?
Well, I certainly didn't get here by the normal route in any imagination. So, what really spurred me on to seriously write was I started writing a memoir. Um, And that memoir was about my experiences in the 1970s when I ran away from home to join the hippies in California.
Oh, wow.
So, and that book is called No Rules. That was my first book. I spent a lot of years working on that book. And while I was working on that book, I went to workshops. And they didn't have online workshops like they
Yeah,
do now. You had to actually go to a place and sit down in a room and listen to an instructor and, write on a piece of paper. So, it was a different experience then. And it was even hard to find these workshops in a lot of cases because at the very beginning, I couldn't find anything in Connecticut
yeah,
unless you were going to enroll in a college course or something to that effect. Um, so I ended up going to different places. So that part is so much easier now
yes.
for
I
people
I would
because
agree.
of all the online. I think the hardest thing now is just finding good online instructors
Yes,
and courses and workshops and groups, so that you're not wasting your time and money. Um, and so I would advise people who want to get started doing that doing
yeah,
some writing to join one of those workshops, find something that's recommended by other people or something you find online that has a lot of good reviews about it and do one of those workshops. Don't overspend, start out inexpensively and just explore because you'll find out if you enjoy it or not.
that's true. I hear in your response, community, the power of connection, which connection everyone knows is my favorite word. And research. In all of that, do you feel you get that benefit from Nutmeg? And how has it been helpful for you along the way with your books?
Well, the Nutmeg Lit Fest has been has just sort of exploded over the last few years. I first met Jack at a library event that we were both at with our books, and he was going around passing around business cards and telling everyone about his Facebook group. And I thought, oh, this is interesting. He wanted authors to come to his Facebook page and talk about themselves. And I thought, okay, why not? So, it seemed like such a little thing. It was not long after COVID had stopped and people were getting out and about and doing things now. So I
Yeah.
don't really know how long he had had this Facebook page going. It could have been quite a while before I met him. But by doing that, he was immediately beginning to connect people.
Yes,
And then over time, it's I came to know him and a lot of the other members of the group, and more people joined with him to create more opportunities for people who want to write or who want to market their books,
Yes.
and all of that kind of thing. So it's been a real boost to I think to having that community and that connection to authors in the Connecticut area.
Yes, I would agree. There, it's something to say about finding people of like mind and finding your village, and that's why we're here today. So thanks, Jack. If so one of our favorite moments on the podcast is a segment we call From the Page. And this is where we give our authors a moment to share their voices directly through a short reading or a passage that captures the heart of their work. So, Sharon, whenever you're ready, we'd love to hear from the page.
Okay, so I'm going to read. I'm not going to read from the very beginning, but not too far in. As I mentioned, this book is about Anita. She's on the run for trying to find her husband and trying to get help to find her husband.
Mm-hmm.
And um, and we discover that um, she had sold her business a couple of years earlier to a Swiss conglomerate, and she has some money over in Switzerland in bank accounts there, and that's where she's going to go to try to get money to try to help her through this process. So this is from chapter 9, Switzerland. Anita held her breath as she waited in line for the customs kiosk at the Geneva airport. Her red eye from Montreal had been turbulent from the remnants of the storm over the Northeast, and she'd struggled to sleep. She was haunted by a variety of possible bad endings if she was arrested for traveling with a forged passport. Now, the 2 cups of Air Canada coffee had she had gave her the jitters. In her hand, she held the forgery, a Canadian passport identifying her as Megan Beckley, one of the Canadian women who'd been at the inn in Stowe yesterday with her husband Noah. They were the Canadian colleagues who brought Caitlin and Odina passports. After crossing the border into Canada in the trunk of Noah's car, Noah replaced Megan's photo with Anita's without damaging the hologram or special ink. He coached Anita to memorize her new information: birth date, place of birth, full name. Then his colleague provided a replacement RFID chip. The only problem was Anita had to look 42 like Megan. Buy some big jewelry at the airport to distract from your face, Noah had instructed her. When you return, we'll work on getting you a forged passport you can keep. Megan will need hers back. Anita fingered the multi-strand necklace hanging over her sweater and blew her new bangs out of her eyes. Caitlin had given her long bangs to make her look younger, but they annoyed her. They did look good, though, sort of rock star looking with her curly hair. When she reached the customs and immigration kiosk, she scanned her passport and the machine took Anita's photo. After a long minute, a message crossed the screen and spit out a printed paper. Proceed to the window with your notice. She glanced around at the other travelers who were mostly leaving the kiosk and heading for the exit, instead of the window where her notice told her to go. Her breath sped up. Stay calm, she instructed herself. Look the agent in the eye and do not blink. Blinking signaled you were lying, she'd read. Breathing hard was probably a bad sign as well. While she stood at the white line waiting for the next agent, Anita counted the length of her breaths to avoid panicking. 1, 2, 3, in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, out. A man in a blue uniform behind a glass partition waved her forward. Anita handed him the passport and her notice as she forced a smile, lightheaded from the caffeine and anxiety. Her face, his face, invoked the image of a poker player. He examined the passport under light, scanned it, and frowned at the results. Anita thought she might throw up.
We could have kept going. I love it. I love it. I love it. What do you hope our listeners and readers get out of your book?
Okay, well, there's just a few things. Um, one thing, and uh, one thing that's important that I tried to get across in this book is how um, how what people hear and what they're being told, that a lot of that information is being controlled by very wealthy corporate people who have their own agenda about why they want certain things to happen. And it has nothing to do with what's best for people.
Mm,
And um, so that's one thing, just to kind of make people think about that. Um, and the other thing that I'd like people to get out of the book is the sense that no matter who you are, that you can make an important difference. It doesn't matter um, what your background is, who you're fighting, who you're against, who you're dealing with. Of course, all of those things do matter, but it's really about how a single individual can have an impact,
mm.
an important impact on what happens in the world.
Wow. Sharon, this was inspirational, moving, thrilling, and all in one kit and caboodle. So I appreciate you coming on. To our listeners, if you love discovering authors and the stories behind their books, make sure you subscribe to the Nutmeg Lit Fest podcast. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Sharon, once again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Janaya, for giving me this opportunity to talk to your listeners.
We loved it and we appreciate it. Oh, hold on, guys. Pause. Sharon, how can we get your book? How can we get a copy?
Oh, well, there's a number of ways. If you go to my website, um, which is Sharon.com, spelled the same way as my name is on the podcast. Um, you will find links there to where you can buy the books online or, for bookstores and that kind of thing. Um, there's a group for each book. So, and those get updated. So they should be pretty well up to date, both ebooks and audiobooks um, and paperbacks. I also often go to a lot of events around the Connecticut area. For example, Nutmeg Lit Fest events, and I sell them in person there. And some bookstores carry the book because I've done some bookstore events in a couple of Barnes and Nobles, and they've kept copies to sell to people like Glastonbury right now has some, or they did. Canton had some, and then um, and down in Mystic, the Bank Square Books has some copies. And I'm going to be there actually in Bank Square Books coming up in a couple weeks. So
Well, Sharon, once again, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. It was very thrilling. And this is Nutmeg Lit Fest podcast, where stories speak.